Find Your Why. A Practical Guide for Discovering Purpose for You and Your Team, by Simon Sinek, David Mead, and Peter Docker. Introduction. He was a man who sold steel. For 23 years, that's what he did. Imagine sitting on a 4-hour flight, exhausted, hoping for a quiet trip, and the person next to you strikes up a conversation. His name was Steve, and he sold steel. He wasn't a bodyguard for Hollywood stars with juicy gossip. He wasn't a treasure hunter with tales of adventure. He sold steel. But as he began to talk, it became clear this wasn't just any steel. His company produced a remarkably pure form that made machine parts lighter and more efficient. He was an engineer himself, and he could speak with genuine passion about his product's superiority. After his pitch, he looked over, expecting the usual questions about clients or costs. Instead, his seatmate, one of the authors of the book we're exploring today, looked at him and asked a simple, disarming question. "So what?" Steve was taken aback. He stammered, "Well, not so much material needs to be used." "And what difference does that make?" his neighbor pressed. And so began a conversation that would peel back the layers of a 23-year career. Using less material meant less smelting, which meant less energy used and less pollution created. And cars built with this lighter steel used less fuel, creating even less pollution. It was even easier to recycle, but they still hadn't reached the heart of it. Finally, his neighbor said, "There must be something more at stake, something you truly believe in." And that's when it happened. For the first time, Steve's eyes lit up. He spoke about his commitment to leaving the planet healthy for his children and future generations. That was it. That was the fire. For all his talk of pure steel and efficient parts, this was the reason he got out of bed in the morning. This was the source of his passion. It had nothing to do with steel, not really. It had everything to do with building a better world. What you've just heard is the difference between a job and a calling. It's the difference between knowing what you do and knowing why you do it. Today, we are diving into a book that is not just a book, but a guide, a map to discovering that very source of fire within you. It's called Find Your Why. Written by the team who followed up on one of the most influential ideas of our time, Simon Sinek's Start With Why. This isn't just theory. It's a practical, step-by-step journey to unearthing the one sentence that defines your contribution to the world. By the end of our time together, you will understand the framework that separates the truly inspired leaders and organizations from everyone else. And more than that, you will have the exact tools to begin your own journey, to find the words for that feeling you've always had, that purpose that drives you when you are at your absolute best. This is the secret to lasting fulfillment. Are you ready to find yours? Book summary. Have you ever felt a little lost, like you're going through the motions? You might have a good job. You might be hitting your goals, but there's a quiet feeling that something is missing. People give you well-meaning but useless advice. Do what you love, they say. Find your passion. The author of this idea, Simon Sinek, found himself in that exact place. He had lost his passion for his work, and that advice, while accurate, was completely unactionable. It didn't tell him what to do differently on Monday morning. The journey that led to this book was born from that pain. It led to a profound discovery, a simple but powerful model he called the Golden Circle. Imagine 3 concentric circles, one inside the other. The outermost circle is the what. Every single one of us on the planet knows what we do. We sell paper, we build cars, we practice law, we write code. It's the easiest thing to identify and explain. The middle circle is the how. Some of us know how we do what we do. These are the things we think make us special or different from our competition. Our proprietary process, our unique selling proposition. It's a little fuzzier, but still accessible. But at the very center of the circle, the bullseye, is the why. And very, very few people or organizations can clearly articulate why they do what they do. And no, the why is not about making money. That's a result. The why is your purpose, your cause, your belief. Why does your company exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Most of us communicate from the outside in. We say what we do, we say how we're different, and we expect a behavior, like a purchase or a vote. A typical business pitch sounds like this. We sell paper. We offer the highest quality product at the best possible price. Want to buy some? It's a perfectly rational pitch. And it might work once or twice, but it doesn't inspire loyalty. Loyalty isn't built on features and benefits. The most inspiring leaders and organizations, from Apple to Martin Luther King Jr., think, act, and communicate from the inside out. They start with why. Now, imagine that paper company started their pitch differently. What good is an idea if it can't be shared? Our company was founded to help spread ideas. The more ideas that are shared, the greater the likelihood they will have an impact in the world. There are many ways to share ideas. One is the written word. We make paper for those words. We make paper for big ideas. Want to buy some? Do you feel the difference? Suddenly, you're not talking about paper anymore. You're talking about a belief. And if you're a person who also believes in the power of sharing ideas, you're not just a customer. You're a kindred spirit. You feel a connection. That's loyalty. This isn't just a nice opinion or a marketing trick. It's grounded in biology. The way the golden circle works maps perfectly with how our brains work. The outer part of our brain, the neocortex, corresponds to the what level. This is our rational, analytical brain. It understands facts, figures, and language. But the middle two sections, the how and the why, correspond to our limbic system. This is the part of the brain responsible for all our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior and decision-making. There's just one catch: the limbic system has no capacity for language. This is where gut feelings come from. It's why we can be presented with all the facts and figures about a decision, and it still just doesn't feel right. It's also why we struggle to put our deepest emotions into words. We're trying to explain a feeling that comes from a part of the brain that doesn't speak. When a company communicates from the outside in, talking about what they do, they are speaking to the analytical part of our brain. But when they communicate from the inside out, starting with why, they are talking directly to the part of the brain that controls decision-making. They are bypassing the noise and speaking directly to our hearts. And this leads to the most important truth of all. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. This understanding is the difference between fleeting happiness and lasting fulfillment. Hitting a goal or getting a promotion makes you happy. But that feeling is temporary. Fulfillment is deeper. It's the feeling that you are contributing to something larger than yourself. Happiness comes from what we do. Fulfillment comes from why we do it. Steve, the man who sold steel, found happiness when he closed a deal. But he found fulfillment knowing his work was contributing to a healthier planet for his children. So, if starting with why is so powerful, how do we find ours? This is the central question the book sets out to answer. The authors make it clear. You don't create a why. You discover it. It's already there. It's an origin story, fully formed by our late teens from the sum of our upbringing, experiences, and the lessons we've learned. The process of discovering it is like panning for gold in the river of your past. You have to sift through the memories to find the recurring themes, the golden threads that, when woven together, reveal the unique pattern of who you are at your very best. And this process, whether for an individual or a team, always follows three basic steps: gather stories, identify themes, and draft a why statement. Let's begin with a journey for an individual. The first, and perhaps most crucial rule, is that you cannot do this alone. It's nearly impossible to be objective about your own life. You are too close to it all. You need a partner? Not a spouse or a best friend, who knows you too well and has their own biases, but someone you trust, who is a good listener, and who genuinely wants to help you. Their job is not to give you advice, but to listen to your stories and help you see the patterns you can't see for yourself. The first step for you is to do a little prep work before you even meet. You need to gather your stories. Think back across your entire life, from your earliest memories until yesterday. You're looking for specific moments that shaped who you are? The highs and the lows. Not general feelings, but specific, vivid memories. One helpful method is called peaks and valleys. Draw a horizontal line across a page. Above the line, plot the happy memories, the moments you'd gladly relive. The higher you place them, the more impactful they were. Below the line, plot the challenging memories, the difficult times that, while painful, taught you something profound and shaped you. Jot down just a few words for each to jog your memory. Another way is to use memory prompts. Think about a teacher who changed your life. What did they do? Think of a day at work when you went home thinking, I would have done that for free. What happened that day? What was your worst day at work? What is an accomplishment you are deeply proud of? The goal is to gather at least 10 stories, And from those, select the 5 or 6 most impactful ones to share with your partner. Now, you sit down with your partner. This is where the magic happens. Your job is to tell your stories in as much detail as you can. But not just the facts of what happened. You need to connect with the feeling. How did that experience make you feel? What was the lesson that you still carry with you today? Your partner's job is to be an active listener. They'll take notes, but not just on the facts. On a piece of paper split down the middle, they'll write the facts of the story on the left, and the meaning, the feelings, emotions, and interpretations, on the right. They will be looking for recurring words, phrases, and ideas. They are searching for that golden thread. Let me give you an example from the book. A man named Todd shared his story. He'd lost a basketball scholarship to addiction and was at his lowest point, even contemplating suicide. One day, driving home from his job at a bar, he saw a little girl selling lemonade. On a whim, he turned around, bought a cup, and then emptied his entire cup holder, nearly $40 in quarters, into her tiny hands, watching her eyes light up with each scoop. As he drove away, he was overcome with emotion and had to pull over, crying uncontrollably. He told his partner, "It was the first time in my life that I felt that I had done something for someone else. It lit my soul on fire, and for the first time I felt like I mattered." Do you see the golden nugget in that story? It's not about lemonade or quarters. It's about service, about helping others feel they matter. As Todd shared more stories, a clear theme of service emerged. As you and your partner go through your stories, your partner will start to circle the themes that appear in at least 2 different stories. These themes are the foundation of your why. After sharing, your partner will present these themes to you. You look at the list together and circle the 1 or 2 that jump off the page, the ones that make you say, "Yes, that's me." Now, you are ready to draft your why statement. The authors provide a beautifully simple and powerful format. To underscore so that underscore. That's it. 1 sentence. The first blank is your contribution, the action you take, the thing you give to the world. The second blank is the impact, the effect your contribution has on others. Let's look at Simon Sinek's own why as an example. To inspire people to do the things that inspire them so that, together, we can change our world. His contribution is to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. The impact is that together, we can change our world. Using the themes you identified, you and your partner will each take 5 minutes to draft a version of your why statement. Then you'll compare them, combine them, and refine them until you have something that feels right. It doesn't have to be perfect. The goal is a draft that's in the ballpark. This discovery of a personal why is a profound experience. But what about a group? A team? A company? An entire organization? Can a group of people have a single why? Absolutely. The authors call this the tribe approach. A tribe is any group of people who come together around a common set of values and beliefs. And the process for finding a tribe's why is remarkably similar to the individual one, just scaled up. The authors use a beautiful analogy. Think of an organization as a tree. The overarching why of the company is the trunk and the roots, the foundation. The different divisions or teams are the branches. On those branches are nests, which are the smaller subcultures. And in those nests are the individual birds. Each level has its own why. A team's why is called a nested why, and it must always serve the larger organization's why, never compete with it. To discover a tribe's why, you need a facilitator, someone objective who can guide the process. You gather a cross-section of the tribe, ideally 10 to 30 people who are passionate about the company and have been there for a while. The workshop is built around what the authors call the 3 conversations. Conversation 1. The human difference. The group breaks into smaller teams, and each person shares a specific story of when they felt most proud to work for the organization. This isn't about hitting a sales target. It's about the human impact. It's about stories that capture the organization at its best. Conversation 2. What's your contribution? Looking at those stories of pride, each team identifies the core actions, the verbs, that describe the contribution the organization made. Words like to connect, to empower, to simplify, to protect. Conversation 3. What's your impact? Finally, the teams look at their stories again and ask, what difference did our contribution make in people's lives? What were people able to do or become because of what we did? Just like in the individual process, the facilitator gathers all the themes from these conversations. The contribution verbs from conversation 2 will fill the first blank of the why statement. The impact statements from conversation 3 will fill the second. The group then works together to draft a single, powerful why statement that everyone feels ownership of. For example, the team at La Marzico, a company that hand-builds espresso machines, discovered their why wasn't about coffee machines at all. After sharing stories about sponsoring community events and creating connections, they landed on this: to cultivate relationships so that the lives of others are enriched. Coffee machines are just what they do to bring that why to life. But wait, there's one more piece to this puzzle. What about all those other themes that came up in your stories but didn't make it into the final why statement? Do they just get thrown away? No. This is where the golden circle gets completed. Those remaining themes become your house. Your house are the actions you take, the guiding principles you follow, that bring your why to life. They are your strengths, the ingredients in your unique recipe for success. If your why is your destination, your house are the directions on the map that guide you there. For an individual, your house might be things like: keep it simple, find the positive in every situation, or connect with people in meaningful ways. For an organization, they are the true core values, not aspirational words on a poster, but the actual behaviors of the company when it's at its best. And this brings us to the final, and most important part of the journey: living your why. Discovering your why and hows is just the beginning. The real work is in the daily choice to act on them. It's about ensuring that what you do is a tangible expression of why you do it. When your why, your hows, and your whats are in balance, you're at your natural best. You feel authentic, you inspire trust, and you experience lasting fulfillment. But organizations, especially as they grow, face a dangerous threat. The authors call it the split. This is the point where the clarity of the founding why begins to get fuzzy. As more people are hired, they become further removed from the founder's original vision. The focus shifts from the why to the what, to the metrics, the numbers, the products. Passion wanes, stress increases, and the organization loses the very thing that made it special in the first place. How do you prevent the split? By keeping the why alive. And the most powerful tool for this is storytelling. It's what the captain of a Southwest Airlines flight did when he saw a flight attendant struggling to label and load carry-on bags. Without hesitation, he climbed out of the cockpit and started helping her. He wasn't just doing a task, he was living his company's why. Championing the common person and showing that we're all in this together. That's what it means to take a stand. But not just have a why written on a piece of paper, but to have it written on your heart, guiding every action you take. Commentary. As we draw our journey through Find Your Why to a close, I want you to pause for a moment. Think about that story of Steve, the steel salesman. For 23 years, he sold a product. But in one short airplane conversation, he reconnected with his purpose. He wasn't a steel salesman. He was a guardian of the future. What this book offers us is nothing short of a map back to ourselves. In a world that is constantly screaming at us about what we should do, what we should buy, and what we should be, this book gently takes us by the hand and asks a quieter, more profound question. Why? The true power of this idea is its simplicity. The golden circle isn't a complex corporate strategy. It's a reflection of how we are wired as human beings. It explains why we follow certain leaders, why we are loyal to certain brands, and, most importantly, why we sometimes feel fulfilled and other times feel empty, even when our outward circumstances look the same. It gives us a language for the feelings that have always driven us but that we could never quite explain. This isn't just a book for entrepreneurs or CEOs. It is for the student trying to choose a major, the recent graduate interviewing for their first job, the parent trying to instill values in their children, and anyone who has ever felt that there must be something more to their work than just a paycheck. It is a universal framework for a life of meaning. The process of finding your why is, in itself, transformative. Looking back at your life stories, the triumphs and the heartbreaks, and seeing a common thread emerge is an incredibly affirming experience. It shows you that your life hasn't been a random series of events, but a coherent story, and you are the hero of that story, driven by a consistent, powerful purpose. So, how can you begin this journey? Right now, today. Here are a few simple actions you can take. First, just for yourself, think of one specific memory from your life when you felt an immense sense of pride and fulfillment. Don't analyze it. Just close your eyes and reconnect with that feeling. What was at the heart of it? Were you helping someone? Creating something? Overcoming a challenge? That feeling is a clue. It's a whisper from your why. Second, try a modified version of the friends exercise. Call up a friend you deeply trust, someone who has known you for a long time. Ask them this question. When you think of me, what is the one thing I do or the way I am that you value most in our friendship? Listen carefully. They won't be describing what you do for a living. They will be describing the contribution you make to their life. They might just articulate a piece of your why for you. And third, start living with the question. As you go about your day, in the small choices you make, ask yourself, does this feel right? Is this aligned with that core feeling of who I am at my best? Simply bringing that awareness into your life is the first step toward living with purpose, on purpose. That was a summary of Find Your Why by Simon Sinek, David Mead, and Peter Docker. We have journeyed through the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only ever be a signpost. The real magic happens when you undertake the journey yourself. It's in the quiet moments of reflection, when a memory brings a tear to your eye, or when a friend's words make you see yourself in a new light. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time. If anything we've talked about today has stirred something within you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see your past, your present, and your future. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to Billionaire's Bookshelf. It tells us that these journeys are meaningful to you, and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing together.